who does Joseph Atwell say were the Caesars who commissioned the writing of the Gospels? Well, according to Joseph Atwell, it was Titus Flavius, the son of Vespasian, who, upon his father's death, needed, in order to, he was the first Roman emperor to inherit the rule, the empire of Rome. He was preceded by his father Vespasian, who was a Roman general, as was Titus, and they came to the UK to fight the Druids and destroyed the Druid movement in the UK, and also went to France to fight, I believe, the Gauls, and destroyed the Gaullist movement in France, both of which were anti-Roman rule. So both Vespasian and his son Titus were initially generals, military generals, and they were indeed Nero's best generals. Nero actually recalled them to Rome, and because he had trouble in Israel, Palestine, with the Jewish Messianic rebels. So the Roman army in the province of what Rome called Palestina, which is basically Israel today, the Romans called it Palestina for a reason, because they wanted to crush Jewish identity, to weaken Jewish identity, because it helped them rule the province of Judea and Samaria. So Nero recalled his two best generals because he was really having trouble with his troops in Judea and Samaria, who were being slaughtered by the Messianic Jews. Not in large numbers, but in large enough numbers to make the casualties serious. So he recalled his best generals, Vespasian and his son Titus, back to Rome, and commanded them to go to Judea and Samaria to crush the Jewish Messianic movement, which they duly did. This is a rather long-winded answer to the question. I hope you'll forgive that long-windedness of it, but I'll get to the point here. And that is, it was Vespasian at some point became Caesar in the year of the four generals, the year of the four emperors. Nero committed suicide. So I believe a military general took over. I'm a bit sketchy about the exact details, but a military general took over. He was killed or died. Then another military general took over, I believe. I'm not 100% sure of whether they were both military generals or not. He was either killed or died. One of them was killed, the other died, I believe. And then Vespasian's elite troop, Vespasian was in Judea and Samaria at the time, Vespasian's elite troop said, Rome is in chaos. We've had three emperors and now we have none. Go back to Rome and seize the throne, seize the empire. And that's what Vespasian duly did. He followed the advice of his elite troops who loved him and supported him, and went back to Rome and seized the empire. When Vespasian died, oh, by the way, that's relevant to the question, though a detail here, and that is, when Vespasian was still alive, he had a counselor who told him that what the Jews needed was a pro-Roman, peace-loving Jewish Messiah. Vespasian, who was a very practical man, his origin was a muleteer before he joined the Praetorian Guard, I think was a Praetorian Guard, but before he became a soldier, he was a muleteer. He bred mules. So Vespasian was a very practical guy. Thought, what's this creating? Well, there's no record of him saying or thinking that, but he must have thought, he paid little attention to his counselor's advice. However, when Vespasian died, Titus had a problem, two problems. He needed to seize the throne. Titus was no softy. Like his father, he was a hard-nosed military general. He needed to seize the throne, and he dealt with opposition in the Senate in very tough and brutal ways. Titus knew he needed to seize the throne, to seize the throne and solidify his holding of the throne. Now, his predecessors, the Vespasian and Titus's predecessors, the Julio-Claudian dynasty, which ended with the death of these generals who were Julio-Claudians. In the year of 4 emperors, I believe they were related to the Julio-Claudians or supporters of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. When effectively the death of the last general or the murder of the last general ended the Julio-Claudian dynasty. The Julio-Claudians were worshipped like gods. There was the cult of worshipping the Caesar of the day. And incidentally, the Romans didn't mind what religion you believed in, whether you're Jewish or heathen or pagan or whatever, so long as in your temples you had a statue of Caesar, and it was considered seditious activity, punishable by crucifixion, to seek to desecrate a statue of Caesar in one of these temples. And the Messianic Jews would even seek to destroy, not just desecrate, these statues. And if they were caught, they would be crucified. So, sorry, I've digressed again. And so basically Titus needed to solidify his hold on the empire. And he knew that he had to present proofs to the Roman Senate that his father Vespasian, the late Vespasian, was indeed divine. In order to cement his own power, he had to present proofs that Vespasian, like the Julio-Claudians before him, was a divine figure. And so he presented, amongst the proofs he presented, was the legends round his father Vespasian as a general. The troops, legends were built around Vespasian's, that he could make the blind see, he who could heal the lame, and he could raise the dead. All these were fables created round Vespasian, and also Vespasian's success and military victories were claimed by Titus to be from God. He said, only with God's hand could Rome have succeeded in crushing the Messianic Jews, which Titus himself did at the end by razing the temple in Jerusalem, leaving not one stone upon another. And that was, to digress again, prophesied by Jesus. So basically, Vespasian decided to pay heed to that counselor, and around the same time, as Joseph Atwell believes, at around the same time that Titus was needing to present his proofs to the Roman Senate that his father was indeed divine, he commissioned Joseph Bar Matthias, otherwise known as Flavius Josephus, who was the main propagandist and historian of the Roman wars, commissioned Flavius Josephus, otherwise known as Joseph Barmathias, to get his literary team together and to write the Gospels with the help of the Alexanders in Egypt, Rome's tax collectors, a Jewish, very rich Jewish family in Alexandria, who collected Rome's taxes in Alexandria with the collusion of the Alexanders in Egypt and of the Herods in Jerusalem. The Herods were somewhat originally, according to Robert Eisman, I think, an originally Arab family who were Judaized and who were Jewish when it was convenient to be Jewish, because, but anyhow, so it was the Titus Flavius who commissioned the writing of the Gospels, and the Acts and so forth were commissioned by his younger brother Domitian when Domitian took over